warm and cozy. You've got your fuzzy socks, you've got your fuzzy friends, and you've got your reading packet for today. So let's make sure that everyone is ready. We'll start with our daily warm-up. You're on page 3. Today's warm-up is about Thanksgiving. So we already know a lot of things about Thanksgiving because we studied the Pilgrims and Plymouth Colony, but let's read it together so that we remember. Each year on the 4th Thursday in November, I didn't know that's how they picked it, many Americans gather around the table with their families to eat a large feast. Do you know why this is so? It is a celebration of Thanksgiving. Thanksgiving started back with the Pilgrims. The year was 1621. The Pilgrims had survived a very difficult winter. The next fall, they had a great harvest. They were so grateful that they decided to have a feast to celebrate. They invited 91 Native Americans to join them. The Pilgrims and guests gathered around a large table to eat. There were games, races, and other activities. The celebration lasted 3 days. We don't know if they really did have turkey, but they did have some kind of bird, as well as venison, meat from a deer. They didn't have pumpkin pie because there wasn't enough flour for that. They did have pumpkin that had been boiled and softened. They also had berries, fruits, nuts, and fish. It wasn't until 1777 that all 13 colonies celebrated Thanksgiving. A lady named Sarah Hale wrote articles and magazines about how important it was to celebrate Thanksgiving. Finally, in 1863, President Abraham Lincoln proclaimed Thanksgiving to be celebrated on the 4th Thursday in November. In 1941, Thanksgiving became an official national holiday. Thanksgiving has been celebrated ever since. How does the author feel about Thanksgiving? Disgusted? Certainly not. Amused? Doesn't seem funny. Concerned? Nope. Can't tell from the passage, right? This is mostly facts. Since facts don't have any personal feelings, we can't surmise or we can't figure out how the author felt. And that's okay, because I'd like to get my information from somebody who's not biased. Which statement explains the purpose of Thanksgiving? Thanksgiving has been celebrated ever since? Nope. They decided to have a feast to celebrate? Maybe. Historians have determined that the guests probably gathered around a large table? No. 91 natives? No. So this is it. They decided to have a feast to celebrate. The purpose of Thanksgiving is to celebrate. And the third paragraph, well, we've got 1, 2, 3. This one tells what they did, how long it lasted, and what they ate. So the guests, no. How many years? No. Discrimination? No. The menu? Yes. All right. These questions are pretty straightforward. It's sort of like reading a history book, so make sure that you're reading and rereading, and do go through the choices so that you don't pick the second best choice, but the first best choice. So, daily warm-up is done. We're headed to page 7 for paragraph writing details. Okay. So yesterday you were asked to brainstorm. I'll just pretend I'm going to use Marty. Somebody in my class said, couldn't we use one of your dogs? They would be terrible, but Marty is fluffy. He loves people. He can be easily bribed with snacks. He likes to take car rides. He's handsome. He's protective. Maybe that would help. He is snuggly, so maybe if you're having a bad day. Okay, so if I had to choose 3 details that make Marty an okay pet, I would say he loves people, he likes the car, and he's easily bribed because we can get him to do what we want with cookies. So if you've got your 3 details, what you want to do is create more than just 2 words, right? I want to create a sentence that explains why this makes him a good class pet. So my detail 1 is loves people. So Marty loves people. The explanation for why that makes him a good pet, a class pet, would be that Marty would be kind and gentle to all students and staff at the school. Because we wouldn't want a vicious dog for a pet. But having a nice dog that lets everyone scratch his ears and rub his belly might be nice, or might be distracting. So that's what you're going to do with each of your details. I'm not going to make you watch me do my details, but go ahead and pause the video here and get your 3. You just want to make your detail into a sentence and then explain why that sentence. So you should have a short sentence and then a longer sentence, a short sentence, then a longer sentence. This way you have an explanation for each one of your details, okay? This is going to be like the bulk of your paragraph, so don't skimp on it now. Okay, page 13, vocabulary review. And on the inclement weather sheet, I said just do 1 today. So we're just going to do the first one today, the one from the Perpetual motion machine. Let me just make sure I said do 1. Yep, just do 1. So the first thing that you should probably do is make sure you know the meaning of the words. So applauds is to clap or shout. We know this. You do this at the end of, a performance or in the middle of a sport. So we'll just say clap. Browsing means to just look casually, right? If you're at a store but you don't know what you're looking for, you're just kind of searching. Fabulous means amazing. Inspecting means, this is the opposite of browsing. Inspecting means to like look intently or to, carefully check. And a project in this case is a special task. So your special task or project is to create a sentence using as many as you can. Let me see if I've got a good one here. Oh, this is my weird one. Okay, so I said while browsing the craft store, while browsing for items, for supplies, we'll say, for my craft project. Comma, I spotted a small bird inspecting fabulous fuzzy yarns. I imagine it would make a nest other birds. Would applaud. I have no idea where that sentence came from, but I like the idea of a little bird in a craft store looking for fuzzy yarn for its nest. So let's see how many I got. I got browsing. Oh, that's not working. Project, I'll just underline it. Ooh, inspecting, fabulous, and applaud. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Done. Do the same, see what you come up with. Love these ones. Can't wait to hear yours. Okay, we're headed for the mixed review on pages 18 and 19. So 18, first let's look at your homework from last night. The homework from last night was past, present, and future tenses. I am going to just put the answers up so you can check them. So here are the answers to the homework. The hardest one on this page was definitely down here. Right? You have to remember that is comes from the verb to be. So is the present tense, was the past tense, and will be is the future tense. So please, please, please be careful. All right, if you need this for any longer, go ahead and pause and check it out. We're going to move on to page 18 and 19. So this week is benchmark week, which is the first time we went remote. I feel like maybe benchmarks are cursed. So we're going to hold off on taking the benchmark until you get back in person. But we are going to review. So you can see all the things that we've covered really go down the side of these passages. We've talked about main idea. We've talked about fact and opinion. Homonyms we had a little bit with, but homonyms are words that sound the same but have different meanings. We've talked about antonyms, main idea. We've had some prefixes, Greek and Latin roots, and then graphic sources. You can see there's a number line here. So we've covered a ton of things, but we can really put them together in passages like this. And so you're going to be asked, through the rest of your reading in life to actually put these things together. It won't be separate skills. So let's make sure we can actually put those together. This is called The Wizard of Menlo Park. It's a really interesting passage about Thomas Edison. So let's take a read. Every time we turn on a light, we should feel grateful to Thomas Alva Edison. Edison officially created and patented more inventions than anyone in history. Some of these inventions, such as the phonograph, the motion picture camera, and the incandescent light bulb, had a huge impact on American society. Early years. Edison was born in 1847 and spent his childhood in Port Huron, Michigan. His mother, a teacher, educated her son at home and exposed him to many different subjects. Edison quickly became a book lover with a passion for chemistry, machinery, and electricity. Driven by his interest in locomotives, that's a train, young Edison took a job selling newspaper and candy on a train. When he eventually had enough money saved, the ambitious boy bought printing equipment. He then published and sold his own newspapers to the train passengers. In addition to his business, Edison was given permission to set up a small laboratory in the train's baggage car. The eager boy scientist conducted experiments there until an accidental fire brought the locomotive lab to an abrupt end. Telegraphy, and Edison's first invention. In 1862, when Edison was still a teenager, he risked his life to save a 3-year-old boy from an oncoming train. The boy's father thanked Edison by teaching him about the telegraph, a way of sending messages over wires using electricity. At the time, the telegraph was the chief method for communicating across long distances. Edison soon became a skilled telegraph operator working around the country. In 1869, Edison patented his very first invention, the electric vote recording machine. Patents are handed out by the U.S. government. When somebody gets a patent for a new invention, it means that he or she will get money if people use their idea. But Edison's vote machine didn't sell. No politicians were interested in using it. Despite this failure, Edison's first official invention taught him a valuable lesson. From that moment on, he would be sure to invent devices that people would use. Okay, let's take a look at the side questions here, and then we'll go on to the rest of the passage. So, the first question says, what is the topic for this passage? The topic is simply what is being written about, and that's Thomas Edison. Fact and opinion. The first sentence is the first sentence of the passage a fact or an opinion? The first sentence says, every time we turn on a light, we should feel grateful to Thomas Alva Edison. Remember that a fact can be proven true or false. And an opinion carries someone else's or the author's feelings. So I think that this one, because it says feel grateful, right? This is someone else's feelings. This is not a fact that we can prove true or false, so I'm going to say opinion. We can't prove true or false that everyone feels grateful when turning on a light. Right? That would be hard to prove. I think most people are probably pretty grateful that the light comes on, but it doesn't mean everyone. Some people like the dark. The question is homonyms here. Remember, homonyms are words that sound the same with different meaning. So it says, what is the meaning of light in paragraph 1? So incandescent light bulb. I mean, light just means, what we'd say, illumination. Or bright. Something that is giving off light, giving off brightness. The other meaning for light, right, something that is, we can talk about light colored, or we can talk about like physically light. So it can either mean like weighing a small amount, or a bright color. There are probably other meanings for light if we think about it. Okay, on the next page we've got more about Edison and how after his first patent didn't work, how he took it to the next level. Edison eventually landed a well-paying job and achieved several successful patents and business deals. After he had enough money saved, he built what he called an invention factory in Newark, New Jersey. He hired dozens of engineers and produced numerous products. His work was so successful, he eventually moved his creative workshop to a larger facility in Menlo Park, New Jersey, and later again to West Orange, New Jersey. As his fame grew, he became known as the Wizard of Menlo Park. His most famous inventions. One of the more than 1,000 patents that Edison received during his lifetime, a few inventions stand above the rest. First, he decided to rework Alexander Graham Bell's telephone, improving on its sound quality and clarity. Then, in 1877, Edison invented the phonograph or record player, a device that would play back sound. Edison, though, was most famous for his work on the incandescent light bulb. Other inventors had already discovered that when an electric current was sent through a wire, the wire became hot and glowed. This glowing was known as incandescence, the giving off of light. The wire that people used, however, only lasted for a short time before burning out. It was Edison who discovered that a thin piece of scorched cotton thread would provide light for many hours without burning out too quickly. After the invention of the incandescent light bulb, Edison also collaborated with his assistant, William Dickson, to create a motion picture machine, camera, and viewer known respectively as the kinetograph and the kinetoscope. These early devices helped to lay the groundwork for modern movies. Over his lifetime, Edison was granted more than 1,000 patents, at time receiving an average of 1 patent for an invention every 5 days. Ooh. He achieved great success, and his hard-working philosophy made him famous throughout the world. Today, our cultural landscape would not be the same if it weren't for the Wizard of Menlo Park. And you can see this graphic timeline that gives you when things are happening in Edison's life. So that's really impressive that one person would love inventing so much that they would create like an invention factory and then get all these patents. I didn't know this much about Edison. So let's take a look. What is an antonym for numerous? So antonyms are opposites. So numerous means many or having a lot of. So the opposite of many is few or scarce, not having many. Main idea. What's the main idea of the first paragraph? So here's our first paragraph. Remember, the main idea is what it is mostly about. So after rereading it, I probably would say that the paragraph is mostly about, right, the main idea is that Edison used his money to create an invention factory in New Jersey, which is awesome. What is the prefix in rework? We know it's right? Reassemble means to assemble again, so means to do again. And rework means to work it again, which is what he did. He reworked the light bulb. What word on this page contains the Greek word philo? Remember that the Greek word philo means love, like Philadelphia. So let's find it. Oh, here it is. Hardworking philosophy. We know philosophy means the love of learning or love of knowledge. And finally, graphic sources. Circle the date on the timeline that tells you when Edison presented his light bulb to the public. So presented his light bulb to the public. So we've got telegraphy, vote recording, phonograph, public demonstration of the light bulb. That's 1879. Okay, if you could put that all together easily and maybe even get a little bit interested in the story of Thomas Edison, then you are well on your way to doing a great job on the benchmark. Tonight's homework is for you to look more at language, the principal part of regular verbs. So make sure that you're finishing page 15 and that you're working to stay on pace. I don't know how long this snowstorm is going to last, but let's make sure that when we get back, everything we've covered is taken care of. All right, I'll miss you today. I hope that you stay warm and cozy, and I will see you hopefully soon.